Welcome, NoDQ Galaxy, and we are back with another edition of the NoDQ Review. And I am Virtue, being joined by the A-Team of Aaron Rift, Jeff Meacham, and Greg Cherry. Aaron, what's up?
Not a whole lot. Just got back from the coast, had a relatively slow news day. I'm hoping things will pick up with Money in the Bank and NXT coming up. It's been, in general, a slow news month, but we do have a few big topics to discuss on today's video, which I'm looking forward to.
That we do. Jeff Meacham, I see you got is that an old school NoDQ shirt you have on
This
there?
is the original Zoogs Rift produced NoDQ shirt that he gave to all of us years ago. Was it 2005, Aaron?
Yeah, 2005.
Yes, yeah. The original, you can notice that there's not even a dot. There's not a dot with a comma. It's just NoDQ.com.
Yeah.
So there
I just
you go.
wanted to
Old
say,
school.
I wanted to say that retro shirt is actually available on NoDQ.com/shirts. So head over there and pick up an old retro shirt if you dare.
It is. We got the Pro Wrestling tees. We got this one. We've got the one in between this one and the one you guys are wearing. And, of course, we've got the current logo. Current logo on the hat. If you come here to Undecided Apparel at 19347 Soledad Canyon Road here in Canyon Country, you can get this hat made for you. You can also email them at undecidedprinting@gmail.com if you want to order it online.
I like the name of that store, and we can relate that to WWE Creative Undecided.
Most definitely. Now, Aaron, I have to ask you before we introduce Greg. Aaron, I got to ask you. It's a slow news month. It's literally freaking June 6th. Why is it? It's only been 6 days since the month started, dude. It's relaxed.
Well, if we're going back a full month to like May 6th, for instance.
That there you go. That's more accurate. Okay, very good.
Okay, well, thank you, Jeff.
You're welcome.
And wearing the Wrestling Trivia Challenge shirt is the champion, Greg. What's up?
That's right, the longest reigning Wrestling Trivia Challenge champion in history. I do that every week just to mess with you, Jeff. You know I do that.
How long until his single reign eclipses? How long until his single reign eclipses my total reign?
I think I still got a couple months. So
okay,
I got to retain in the finale and then carry it on into season 5. But
take a summer off and hope for the best.
Yeah, that's a different show completely.
That's right. Speaking
of the Pro Wrestling T-shirts, you can go to prowrestlingtees.com/PA Sensation, and I got 4 up there if you want to get any of those. And actually, it'd be good if you want to stop because I think there's an option to pick them up in Chicago for anybody who's going to the meetup next week.
Yeah.
Well, since you brought up Chicago and longest reigns, is CM Punk's WWE title reign still the modern-day longest reign of any WWE title?
Brock's getting close.
Okay.
Brock's
CM Punk.
Close.
Well, you see where I'm going with this.
Yeah, absolutely.
CM Punk and Colt Cabana win their lawsuit that was filed by Dr. Is it Aman?
Amen.
Chris Amon,
whatever it is.
Whatever it is.
So, I don't know how many days it went, a week. Guess who won? CM Punk gets another victory. What does this mean? Aaron, I want to start with you. Let me ask you this question.
Sure.
What do you think on Punk's upcoming fight in UFC? You don't have to do predictions. I mean, we know what happened the first time. You were there.
Right.
And what lies ahead? Comic books? What do you think?
Well, first of all, I think that CM Punk has a decent chance of winning his fight. I think it could go either way. Mike Jackson, or Michael Jackson as I like to call him, he's pretty much the bottom of the barrel when it comes to opponents. So if Punk cannot beat this guy, then yeah, I think it's pretty much over for him. I think that this is his last shot. It's in Chicago. He's on the main card, which upset quite a few people in the MMA community. After the UFC fight, I think it depends. If he wins the fight, he'll do more fights. If he loses the fight, then I could see him possibly going back to wrestling in some capacity. Now, he recently commented on his victory, and he said that he is not all in. However, he's going to say that one way or another. He's not going to say, oh, yeah, I'm going to be there if he's actually going to be there. I think that that's all still up in the air, and I would not rule out him showing up as a surprise appearance. That's just my take on it. I think it could go either way, and that's how I feel about the fight in general. And I'm happy for him that he won his case. We'll see how this affects other WWE talent and how this actually affects Amen in the future now that he lost this lawsuit. How are other WWE talents going to react to this news? Jeff, what do you think about the whole situation?
I think Punk better revel in this victory all week because it's the only fight he's going to win this week. Just saying. A lot of people are pissed off at him for he's going to be on the main card, and Mike Jackson is one of them. He's really freaking upset about this whole. Punk has the Punk mystique. Good for him.
Well, Jeff, let's go back to Cleveland. Whatever UFC number that was, Aaron was there.
Right.
Was that like the highest draw that they've had in a long time? What were the exact numbers? Does anybody know? I don't
have them in front of me, but
I think it was.
The fact of the matter is that there was hype around the first fight because it was CM Punk's first fight. And, oh my God, here comes another wrestler, and CM Punk, he's a legitimate, legitimate superstar in the world of wrestling. Let's see what he can do. He got punked within a minute. He was done. It was over. So he has a lot to prove Saturday. He won the case, and quite frankly, he even said himself that he stayed training and stayed on the regimen during this ordeal. But you got to think it's in his head. You got to think this messed with his whole training schedule, being in court for the last how many days it was. It's got to mess with his day. So I don't think it's gonna. I think it's gonna be an impact on the fight. Will he win? I don't think he will. I honestly don't think he'll win this fight. And I think him saying he's not going to be all in Chicago in September is blowing smoke up everybody's butt. I think he'll be in the arena. I think he'll be there.
Interesting. So you got him at 0-2 in UFC, and then that's it. Do you think he would do amateur if he goes 0-2?
I think he's at the point where he's realizing that his WWE career is over, but I don't think he believes his wrestling career is over.
Gotcha. Greg.
Yeah, I have to agree with Jeff there. I mean, I don't see CM Punk winning this fight. The difference between his career and Brock Lesnar's career in the UFC was, Brock actually has an amateur wrestling background. I mean, he was a national champion a couple different times, and he's also got the size, so he was able to inject the power game, and that's how he was able to become UFC champion, even after he lost his first fight pretty quickly. He actually lost, I believe, faster than Punk did.
I believe you're right.
But, Lesnar has that training. I believe Punk has he has some form of martial arts training. I'm blanking on the kind that he has.
Muay Thai sounds accurate.
Yeah, Muay Thai, I believe that's it. But I don't know if it's going to be enough. I don't know anything about Mike Jackson. I'm really not a huge UFC guy. I'll watch it if it's on, but it's not something I'm super passionate about and I follow on a consistent basis, so I can't give analysis on that. All I'm saying is, if Punk wants to keep his career in MMA in general going, he has to win this fight. Otherwise, it's pretty much wrestling or bust for Punk. Yeah. Whether it's with WWE, with New Japan, with Impact, Ring of Honor, wherever that case may be. That's what I think.
Right, and before you give your thoughts, I just wanted to add that I do think Punk winning this trial will help him psychologically a little bit, and I do think that is a factor. I think his mental state is going to play a role in this fight, and now that he's won, I think that will put him in a better place because now this is all behind him and he can really focus on the fight. I think it would have been worse for him if the verdict was not in his favor. So I do think that will help him a little bit, and I do feel like a psychological aspect to it does play a role in the outcome of the fight. But we'll see. I think it could go either way. So, Virtue, your thoughts on it?
I'm going to go out on a limb, and I don't know much about UFC. I don't know anything about Mike Jackson. I know CM Punk lost in about 2 minutes and 20 seconds against Mickey Gall, was it?
Yeah.
Think about that. Mickey Gall took him down in the first 15 seconds of the match, and I've seen a lot of fights. I've seen Shamrock lose in less than a minute. Punk took 2 minutes to get his butt kicked. So with that said, it was a shellacking. This one's in Chicago. I'm just going to make a bold prediction, and I don't know how I say Punk's going to win. But again, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
Well,
I just got that gut feeling like I could see him victor, and everyone's talking about it. Not that it's fixed, but maybe the gods will be on his side. Yeah. What were you going to say, Jeff?
I was going to say, Greg brought up a good point about Lesnar transitioning well because he had that power game. He was able to grapple, but he could also punch a guy in the face and it'd make a huge difference. Punk doesn't have that power game behind his. I mean, if he punches me in the face, he's not going to be out because it's CM Punk. But if he's punching a UFC fighter in the face, it's not really going to make as much of an impact. Especially a guy like Mickey Gall, who was legitimately upset that he was being called out. Mike Jackson, I think, is in the same boat. He's like, oh, okay, so some guy off the street, he's one-time fighter. He's going to call me out. Okay, sure. So it's we'll see what happens.
Yep. We'll see what happens, and then we'll see what happens.
I'll be in Disneyland, so I don't give a crap either way.
But you would give a crap if he comes back to wrestling in some capacity?
I would give a crap. First of all, I was going to be watching the fight instead of being in the Magic Kingdom Saturday night. I would care. And if he shows up on All In on September 1st, I will be the most happiest fan on the world because I think he should be in wrestling.
Gotcha. And I think we all do. I mean, at least for one more run, you know. You can't end it all how he did.
No.
All right, speaking of a guy that bounces around in a spectacular fashion, Chris Jericho. So we know he went to New Japan to fight Omega, and it was a hit. He drew. And he's dabbling back into New Japan at Dominion. He'll be facing Naito.
Naito.
Japanese names. Forgive me.
Grief.
My prediction is he beats him for the IWGP Intercontinental Championship so they can rematch at the Cow Palace, Aaron. It only makes sense, and he drops the title back. We have rumors, and this might even be official, Impact Wrestling. Now, I know he's good buddies with Don Callis, who has something to do with Impact Wrestling these days.
Yep.
You know, Sami Callihan is doing promos on everybody, trying to generate this real legit life heat, all because of what he did to Eddie Edwards.
Yeah.
I've missed this in wrestling. If a botch happens, if something bad happens, these wrestlers are now using it to their advantage. So I like what Jericho has done. I like what Sami Callihan has done, and I hope Jericho's on Impact. Is he going to make it a game changer? No. Could it double their ratings for a few weeks? I believe so. Greg, what's your thoughts on Chris Jericho, and if you have any on Sami Callihan, because we all know he used to be in NXT.
Yeah, from what I understand, Jericho is not actually going to Impact Wrestling. It's just he's inviting Impact Wrestling on the cruise that he's doing later in the year.
That's what we know right now.
For now, I don't see Jericho working any long-term or even short-term deals with Impact Wrestling as far as their television product goes. I see this. He's not going to get WWE guys on the cruise. So I think he has Ring of Honor there, and he's going to have Impact Wrestling there. I don't know if he's going to have any New Japan there. I haven't checked any of the details. But I think this is a one-time deal, much like when Impact used a Fozzy song for one of their pay-per-views years ago. And it's like, oh, it's a big deal. Chris Jericho's on TNA. And it was just, he's in a music video. Who cares? So I don't see this being anything. It might lead to a Jericho-Callahan match on the cruise, which is probably what they're building towards. And Sami Callihan, I saw the bat spot with Eddie Edwards. It's like I don't care how much you like hold up or whatever. You don't aim like a weapon shot at a guy's face. Like you just don't do that unless like the weapon is like protected or something, because he can do serious damage. I mean, he did do serious damage. So I don't know, Jeff. Go ahead.
Well then. Not a fan of what Callahan did to Eddie Edwards. I know it got tremendous buzz, tremendous heat, and it got that wonderful Cornette heat that everybody loves to talk about, Jim Cornette heat. But Corny was legitimately pissed off this time. He was legitimately and rightfully pissed off this time at what Sami Callihan did. Whether he meant to injure Eddie that much or not, like Greg said, the fact about you swing a bat at the guy's face, it's going to freaking hurt him. It's just the way it's going to be. You can only pull that punch so much when you're swinging a ball back.
Well, gentlemen, it did ricochet off that chair. I just think that whole spot was shoddy. You know what I mean? These guys come up with stuff in the back. They could have said, let's do it this way instead. But it's already happened, and the heat is there.
That's the thing. Both guys playing this spot out. You're swinging the chair and the baseball bat at each other. That's dumb. It's completely, utterly dumb to even think about doing something like that. Very idiotic on both their parts. The fact is, Callahan took the heat because he's the one that swung the bat. As simple as that. Him being on the Jericho cruise is good for Jericho's business because Callahan has that buzz right now. And if they're building toward Jericho versus Callahan, I think that'd be a tremendous match. Both these guys are really good. I mean, Jericho is Jericho. Jericho's one of the best of all time. Callahan's good enough in the ring where he can have a match with Jericho and they can really carry each other very well. Impact being on the cruise, I think, is not as big a deal as everybody's making it out to be. Yes, there's going to be Impact Wrestling matches on a WWE Legends cruise, a WWE Legends sponsored cruise, but you know what? Chris Jericho is his own man. He's been his own man for a couple years now. He's done the matches in New Japan with Omega. He's going to wrestle Naito this Saturday for the Intercontinental title. He'll probably win, like you said. He'll probably defend at the Cow Palace in a rematch, which will make Aaron happy. Good to see Chris Jericho live in the Cow Palace. God, that's freaking awesome. God bless you, Aaron. And I think Impact being there is like, okay, cool. We got some Ring of Honor stuff. We got some New Japan probably. We got some Impact stuff and Ring of Honor. And that's cool. We're going to see a good mix of different talents without just, okay, here's WWE Hall of Famers and legends. What do you got for me besides that? There's a good mix of everybody else. I think it's cool.
Aaron, want to add anything to that? Good points, Jeff.
Well, I just wanted to say that I really don't think anybody is going to book a cruise now that Impact Wrestling is added to the lineup. I find it hard to believe that one person on this planet will say, oh, wow, Impact Wrestling is going to be on the Jericho cruise. I'm going to go to the Jericho cruise now. Maybe Andre, maybe your buddy Andre Virtue, and now Andre is going to hate me even more now because
what's Impact drawing these days? 350,000?
If that.
Well, there's a few people out of that 350,000 maybe.
I think this benefits Impact way more than it benefits Jericho. No question about that.
Right. Now, the other question is, if Jericho does, in fact, end up working with Impact Wrestling beyond this cruise and actually makes an appearance on the show, will that even make a difference? And I did a poll on NoDQ.com. I asked people, would they give Impact another shot if Jericho works for the company? And right now, it's slightly yes for the answer, but it's very close. It's almost 50-50 with the reaction. So I'm not sure it's really going to realistically make a big difference. Like Jeff said, or maybe it was Greg, one of you said it, that maybe for a few weeks there'll be a bump in the ratings, but I don't know if it's going to make any real difference long term. Jeff?
We actually talked about this last night on NoDQ Live when you were doing your show here, and you were talking about it, and I was chatting away being an idiot. But yeah, you did mention I was not drunk on the show. Jesus. I was completely sober, just being an idiot. I swear to God I was. No, you were yeah, it's even worse, exactly. You were mentioning people were chatting there. It might bump it for a few weeks. It'll be a momentary blip on the radar. It will not be a long-term turnaround for Impact. I don't think anything can at this point for those guys. Like you said yesterday, Aaron.
I feel like they have to make new stars. They have to make marketable stars, and they still haven't done it. Sami Callihan, I don't see anything marketable about him, and I don't even know half these guys they have. The guys that beat Steiner and Eli Drake, who are those guys? DJZ and some other guy? Who's the other guy?
I don't remember.
Virtue?
I haven't been watching Impact. So.
Oh my God, you guys!
So what I'm saying is, when I see Sami Callihan cutting these promos on social media better than how WWE does them produced for their SmackDown and Raw shows, and you say Sami Callihan's not marketable, then you apparently have given up on true heels. So that's just my opinion.
I cannot imagine who's going to buy a Sami Callihan action figure. Was it going to have a baseball bat and a chair, and you could reenact him hurting somebody for real? I mean, how do you market this guy with a T-shirt? I mean, what do you do?
This brings me to my next topic. This brings me to my next topic. Wrestling fans, because some people actually like today's product, and this era versus past eras, they accept it. I think it's because too many fans, smart fans, hardcore fans, are overtaking social media. And I guess what I'm trying to say here is WWE still is trying to cater to kids and women like they always have. But Aaron, I'll start with you.
Sure.
What happened to the fan base today in wrestling? Why does it feel like a lot of them hate on creative? But there's been a few people on Twitter that have come at me saying, why is everything so negative on NoDQ?
Right.
You're so negative. I love everything about this era because it's about wrestling matches.
Right. Well,
and I think people are forgetting the point about stories, heels.
Yeah.
Go.
Obviously, people like different types of music. Some people like rock. Some people like rap. Some people like Jeff, like Shania Twain. It is what it is. Now, the other thing is that I feel like there are fans out there that are maybe new to WWE. They are watching and they're casual viewers and they don't really have anything to really compare current WWE to. You, Virtue, me, Jeff, Greg, most of the people watching this, we've been watching for many years and we've seen just about everything there is to see in wrestling. We've seen every type of storyline, every type of character. So when we watch Raw and SmackDown, we're comparing it to everything we've seen before, and that's a lot of content. So yeah, it's definitely going to cause us to look at it a different way than people that are maybe new to WWE or maybe just watch it casually and don't really have much to compare it with. So I think that that's the main reason. And of course, there are those fans out there that are obsessed to the point where they will watch no matter what. They will support WWE no matter what. They're blind to anything bad or negative about the product. I mean, you get this with any television show, any band. You know, you have these fans that they will support it no matter what. And even if other people think it's terrible, they will still support it. They will still defend it till the very end. There are those people out there, but, you know, we're all fans, but some of us, we feel like it's not as good as it used to be, and we're just looking at it realistically to how it was before and how it is now. And the creativity right now, in my opinion, just isn't there. So, Greg, what do you think about all this?
Well, first of all, I feel bad. I feel like Jeff's getting buried on the show. That's another story.
I really pissed Aaron off yesterday with my drunk text, and I wasn't drinking. I really pissed him off yesterday.
It's payback now, bitch.
Jeff, there's
totally
nothing
payback.
wrong with Shania Twain. She's hot.
And it's not just Shania, it's country music in general. Aaron just picks Shania Twain because he happens to listen to my songs on my phone whenever I'm away from my phone. He's got my
Back to you, Greg.
Anyway, you know what's funny? I was actually thinking, before you sent us this topic, I was actually thinking about this the other day. It's like, you know, I wonder if like the kids these days view wrestling like we did 20, 25 years ago.
Yes.
And like and our parents and whoever the older people watching were just like, oh, wrestling's better when it was, you know, Bruno Sammartino in that era. And granted, we grew up in the early 90s New Generation era too. So it's like, and we remember how great the New Generation era was looking back at it now, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's fantastic. With all the great gimmicks there, like Bastion Booger and T.L. Hopper and all
Mantar.
those. Mantar. I mean, the legendary.
Joe Floyd, peeps.
Oh my goodness. And it's funny because we still bought into those characters. We still enjoyed the product. Granted, it wasn't for them specifically, but it was for, you know, the action that was going on. We got favorites like Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, and, you know, The Undertaker was really getting hot at the time.
And Razor and Kevin Nash, you know, yeah. So.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe the kids these days are like looking at this product like we looked at the New Generation. It's still entertaining. We're finding our favorites. And then maybe in a couple years when they get older in the teenage years, they'll like, oh, yeah, we're really into this. Like, maybe there's another Attitude Era coming. Just kidding. We know they're probably past that.
It's never coming back.
As far as, like, a big wrestling boom. Not necessarily, like, the TV-14 rating or whatever, but I'm still waiting for the next, like, big wrestling boom. I think the last one we had, theoretically, was when CM Punk cut the Pipe Bomb promo.
Yeah,
because it got really hot again for a while. But, I don't know. What do you think, Jeff?
Jeff, I want to ask you this. Am I wrong in thinking that a lot of fans just want wrestling matches with spots? That's the feeling I have.
I think that the current wrestling fan that, you know, is pretty much discovering the business now is far less jaded than we are about the business. And what I mean by that is, you know, us old fogies, if you will, that are in our 30s and, you know, our early 40s, some of us have been watching since the Hogan era, and when Hogan was starting to transition to Hollywood and, you know, doing those things. I think that wrestling was so good and there was so much creativity being thrown around amongst the whole big group of people, not just one or two guys like we're seeing now. It feels like that, you know, it's like, oh, wow, this is really, you know, you're able to tune in every week, every Monday, and then every Thursday on SmackDown and see the guys that you like and you invested in get the push. You know, we had Austin, we had Rock, we had Hunter, we had Undertaker, we had Mick Foley, and there was a whole undercard there, and the tag team division was good, and the women's division was getting better. It's not as good as it is now, but it was getting better back then. It all kind of came together, and now, you know, we look back now, and, you know, we very much, we're all about nostalgia. At least I am. I'm very nostalgic. I buy the WWE Network every month for $9.99 to watch the stuff I used to like.
Yeah.
I could literally have no problem with never seeing a current WWE show again, except if I gotta sit here once so we could talk to you knuckleheads. So other than that, I wouldn't watch because there's no reason for me to watch because it's not the product I grew up loving.
Yeah, if it was up to you, you would be listening to more Shania Twain.
If it was up to me, I'd have the Eagles in my ear right now, not Shania Twain. Thank you very much.
Well, she was huge back in the Attitude Era there, and we had competition, so there was like something for everybody, literally. Yeah. Diehards, casuals.
Yeah. More often than not, when I'm working, getting my shows ready or working on stuff, working for you guys, I will literally have the network on the background. It's usually either WCW or Attitude Era, WCW mid-90s or Attitude Era stuff because it's cool. You listen to, oh, yeah, I remember that when I looked at my TV. Oh, yeah, that's what that is. So, it's so ridiculous to think that we should make the people that like this product now feel bad. Now, granted, I sent that tweet out, whatever it was, yesterday morning, the day before yesterday, about, what is it going to take for the main roster fans to see that NXT is so much better, that New Japan is so much better. That's my opinion, my feelings. Why I had to project it on everybody else.
Good point. And back to the character era, Greg, Waylon Mercy. That was one guy that I remembered.
Yes.
That Dan Spivey, I mean, he was at the end of his road physically, but to me, that character was ahead of its time. If it was a few years later in the Attitude Era, he could have done some nasty things.
I think if
realistically, Dan Spivey was kind of the 1995 precursor to Bray Wyatt. If you think about it.
I was going to say, if Waylon Mercy was in Dan Spivey shape of 10 years prior, he'd have been over.
Yeah, I just saw him I just saw some YouTube clips the other day, the promos before he came in, and sitting at the picnic table talking. It was just creepy. Like I said, ahead of its
creepy,
time.
But it was good. Yep.
But there were very, very few hidden gems back then, and of course, it didn't come to fruition for him anyway. So,
well, but you know what? The fact of the matter is, everybody in their book talks about this, Virtue. The people that were on TV in 95, 96, 97, they saw it before Vince saw it. That's why the clique went to Vince and said, you know what? Let us be us. All we got to do is turn the volume up on our personalities. That's why it worked for Austin, for DX, for the NWO, for those guys. All they did was take their own personalities and go, turn the volume up, and they became, the only person that didn't turn the volume up on their real personality was Hogan, because Hogan went completely the opposite direction of who even Terry Bollea was. I'm not sure he is now, but, Terry Bollea back then was not this evil, he wasn't that guy. And Hollywood Hogan enabled him to be that guy. But Scott Hall and Kevin Nash were very much, laid back, whatever. I'm just, but they were badasses at the same time. DX was a couple of goofballs. There's still a couple of goofballs now.
Yeah.
So
without hair.
But you know what? They're making more money than me, brother, and I have no hair either. So there you go.
Guess who else turned their personality up? CM Punk. So
exactly.
They don't allow that today. At least WWE doesn't, and that to me is the problem. So
no, I think the pipe bomb was a turning point if it had been allowed to be a turning point.
Good point. So we've had the Superstar shakeup now for a little bit. We have Raw, SmackDown Live. I'm going to ask each one of you this. Go around the horn. And it's probably fairly one-sided, but I want to hear reasons why. What show's been the better show?
SmackDown. Easy.
Okay, start it off then, Aaron. So give us the exact reasons why. Is it because Raw's too long?
Yes.
Because Raw has Roman and Jinder?
Yes.
Give us something, and I hope everybody has something different, because I knew this was going to be an obvious answer. Go ahead.
Yeah, SmackDown is 2 hours. Raw has Roman Reigns and Jinder Mahal. And really, I feel like the 2 hours is the biggest factor. I feel if SmackDown was 3 hours, it might be as bad as Raw. But even on SmackDown, it seems like we get something different every now and then. Like this week, I mentioned this on NoDQ Live. They actually did that contract signing segment in the backstage area, which I did like because it was something different. It's the first time I can remember in a long time where they actually did a contract signing backstage instead of in the ring. I thought that was cool. And I liked the way that Big Cass's promo was shot with them on the stage and with the crowd behind Big Cass. That was a nice change of pace. So even if it's just little cosmetic differences, SmackDown seems to be the better show in the sense of doing things different and changing things up a little bit. So maybe there is a little bit of a difference when it comes to the creative team. I really don't think so. I think pretty much they have the same creative teams with maybe a few exceptions. Who knows? People blame Road Dogg, but there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen. Let's just put it that way. So I don't think it's fair to really criticize Road Dogg for SmackDown's problems. And SmackDown's been better than Raw. So if Road Dogg's involved in SmackDown more than Raw, then Road Dogg's doing something right then. So I don't know what else to say about it. Jeff, what do you think? Anything else you would like to add?
You kind of mentioned the points last night that I was going to bring up tonight, but that's totally fine. The fact is, SmackDown last night or whatever it's going up, Tuesday night SmackDown. How about that?
Yeah.
Felt like an old school feel show. We had the contract signing backstage, like we had with Hogan Andre, like we had with Hogan Warrior for WrestleManias, and we had the interview on the little stage away from the ring, like Mean Gene always used to do in the old days, where you had the crowd behind him. There was this big circular atmosphere around him. You know what? Even worked for the friggin' LOD at WrestleMania 8. They got more over somehow when they came back with Paul Ellering and had that big thing around them. And I distinctly remember a Ric Flair Bobby Heenan promo with the crowd behind them on the stage. Bobby conducting an interview. It was so well done. It's little things, like you said, Aaron, little things like that make SmackDown much more must see for me than sitting through 3 hours of Raw and hoping Rollins does something amazing.
Right.
If it wasn't for Seth Rollins, I could not even care. I could care less.
Elias?
I could not care less about Raw. If it wasn't for Seth Rollins, I could not care less about Raw.
Ooh, what do you think about that,
Greg?
Virtue?
It's like sifting through a dumpster. I'll let Greg go before I give my take.
Uh-oh, you're in trouble, Jeff.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like I tweeted out the other day. Raw's been wasting so much food. You'd think they could use my game show on their network. It's on YouTube. Go find it. I'm not
Boom.
explaining.
Yes. Luck of the draw, kids.
Exactly. But the thing with Raw is, and the Money in the Bank main event of Roman Reigns and Jinder Mahal, I swear, if that main event's in Chicago, the entire arena, it will become an empty arena match. It'll be that bad. I mean,
Buy a shirt.
Exactly. Buy the shirt. Buy all the shirts. Pro Wrestling
In Chicago. Pro Wrestling
free
Tees.
shirt if Jinder Mahal and Roman Reigns wins the main event. If somebody retweets me on Twitter, one random person's going to get a free T-shirt.
Well, when I watch the shows, to me, I can't pick either one because they're both that bad. I mean, really.
Wow.
They are. And the fact is, I get invested into characters, Jeff, like Elias. Braun Strowman, since his feud with Roman last year, I got excited. Where is this guy going to go? He was just a lackey with Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt family, and all of a sudden this guy is getting matches against Brock Lesnar. And maybe he didn't have what it takes to be in the ring in big matches, so it kind of took a step back for him. But I am invested. Seth Rollins is on fire. We talked about Red Hot and White Hot last week.
Yep.
I'm still always going to be interested in Roman Reigns because the hate, people walking out on him, booing him, whatever the case may be, the fact that they got to put Jinder against him to see if this will work and that'll work, to me, I'm just hoping that something creative happens to him. And I look at SmackDown. I get upset with what they're doing with The Miz. We talked about, I thought they should have pushed Miz and Bryan at least where they had teases. Not that they would go right into it, but just some teases. They're in the same building every Tuesday. SmackDown only being 2 hours, Aaron, that's fine. That's how shows used to be. That's how you can get them going, keep the flow going. But with SmackDown 2 hours, we're getting guys not booked on the show when there's guys and gals on the show that maybe should be in the dark matches instead. I can't pick either one of them, make a long story short. And again, is it creative? Is it the stagnant WWE product? Let's just get by. We're still going to get 2 million viewers. Well, you think it'll ever go under 2 million?
And they came close this week. They got like 2.1 for SmackDown this week. I think it broke the record for the lowest viewership of 2018. So, yeah, even with SmackDown being the better show, it's still doing pretty lousy ratings right now.
Wow.
The fact of the matter is, Aaron, with all respect to Aaron, he very graciously allowed me access to watch Raw and SmackDown through his graces and payment every Monday, live Monday and Tuesday. I find myself wandering around the house during Raw and SmackDown, like, okay, it's dinner time, whatever, I'll go. Oh, yeah, main event time. I stay planted in my seat in front of the screen watching NXT every single week. And those spoilers are out, brother. I just don't read them. NXT, I'm compelled to watch every single week. It's only an hour, and they present better stuff than I can see on Mondays and Tuesdays. And I know people are like, oh, you're an NXT mark. Yeah, I am an NXT mark. Proud of it. If I had my T-shirt on, I would bust out my chest. But I don't
specifically said main roster show because if I didn't, we'd all say NXT.
No.
Exactly.
And, Greg?
Well, Aaron is watching NXT, to be fair. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, to quote Jeff Meacham, here's the thing. Raw is the way it is because of one reason. And the reason why you have all these crappy storylines that you're filling time with this god-awful Sami Zayn, Bobby Lashley storyline is because you don't have a heavyweight champion on the show.
Yep.
The sooner they get the title off of Brock Lesnar and have a full-time champion, I think Raw can come back up and retake over SmackDown because you'll have a main event that you care about. Yep. Without the heavyweight champion, and it's actually not a knock to Lesnar. It really isn't a knock to Brock Lesnar. It's actually more of a knock that, hey, you had a chance to pull the trigger at WrestleMania and you didn't do it, and now you're full feeding us. The rumors are out that Roman's going to face Brock at SummerSlam. Why? I don't know, because WWE wants Roman Reigns to be the champion. It's like, if you don't have
Mania.
They did it twice. They have already done it twice. But here's my thing with that, too. If Roman doesn't beat Brock at SummerSlam, stop it. No more. It's done.
Yes.
Quick him and Roman title shots. Because if he loses 3 times to Brock in the same calendar year, he should be nowhere near the Universal title, storyline-wise. But again, to quote Chris Ross, dead and old, don't apply logic to wrestling.
Exactly.
So if Roman had the Universal title, right, and for whatever reason Vince wants to keep it on Brock Lesnar, who's never there. If Roman was the Universal champ and Seth Rollins is as hot as he is, whether he has the Intercontinental Championship or not, and say he was the guy, since he seems to be the biggest babyface on Raw right now, would you all agree?
Yeah.
Chasing Roman. I don't know how. It could be baby and baby because they're never going to turn Roman heel. Would that not be a little bit interesting right now? Almost like a Daniel Bryan effect. Seth Rollins chasing Roman. I would be interested in that. Instead, let's keep the title on Brock and keep him off TV. And we'll make the Intercontinental title important. Okay, maybe a little bit. Craig?
I really think, and now this is actually going back to where it would make sense if Roman faced Brock at SummerSlam. If Dean Ambrose returns the night after SummerSlam, turns heel on Seth Rollins.
That would be nice. I like it.
Because then you can have the feud between the two of them, keeping them busy. You don't need a championship in there at all, because it'd be Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins. You never really need a championship in there to begin with. But, I mean, that would keep both of them busy until they got something bigger at the Rumble or Survivor Series or even WrestleMania. So in that instance, I could understand if Roman got the title shot. Otherwise, I don't know.
And I think so many people expected Roman to have that title, and he doesn't. And it's like, you fooled us. We're mad. Yeah, we expect.
Exactly.
Moving on. So, Greg, you brought up the main event today, and we'll talk about that here in a few minutes. But before we get to that, I want to reflect back the best we can. Aaron's like, I don't know what I'm going to pick. The best wrestling moment, I guess, that has happened already in 2018. And I know right now we're beginning of June, so we're not quite 6 months in, but it kind of goes into what Greg's topic's going to be. So, Aaron, I want to start with you. This is hot take. Well, no, sorry, Greg. We'll be hot take central when we do your topic. Aaron, best thing of 2018 in wrestling so far, if you had to pick. Maybe there's a couple. Go ahead.
Well, are we counting NXT?
Everything. You can count New Japan, Ring of Honor.
I would say Gargano Ciampa from WrestleMania weekend would be at the top for me. Main roster wise, I'll say Nakamura winning the Royal Rumble would be my best moment of 2018 so far.
Okay. Jeff, I know you'll have a lot more to say than just state a couple things.
Well, yeah, I mean, Gargano and Ciampa is the best feud of the year so far. No question about it. It is the top story in WWE right now. It is the biggest thing WWE's got going for them in any brand right now because people are invested in it. They want it. They want it to keep going, but they also wanted a definitive conclusion to it. As far as outside WWE's universe, Wrestle Kingdom. That was an amazing show that New Japan put on. You had Omega and Jericho. You had Okada and Knight. It's such a great show. That was the very reason I actually had a brief New Japan World subscription was that show. I had to give it up because Dylan needed access for his Xbox. I couldn't afford both, so there you go. But for the brief time I had New Japan World, the first half of 2018, the best part about wrestling was New Japan.
All right.
Greg.
I'm going to bring something up not a lot of people think about. Titus O'Neil falling at the greatest Royal Rumble. No.
Nice.
Best moment ever in history.
Exactly. You listen to the commentary.
It's the GOAT. It's the GOAT.
But I am going to say, and even though it hasn't really paid off yet, Daniel Bryan returning to the ring. I think that was the biggest story, really, of 2018, was the fact that Daniel Bryan was cleared and able to return to the ring at WrestleMania, because there was teases for months, whether he would or he wouldn't. But now he's back in the ring. He's wrestling again. And, he hasn't had that defining match yet, but there's still the hope that he will once this feud with Big Cass is over.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to see what Daniel Bryan does the rest of the year.
This is probably going to be the first time I've never picked anything WWE. And we're only half the year, so we'll see what happens. And I'm a fanboy, but I've been so damn intrigued by one Chris Jericho. This the hype, the old school hype, blood, swearing, Kenny Omega, dream match. Then when we think that's all it was going to be, he jumps Naito. Now we're going to see more matches with him, and probably two, hopefully. Sami Callihan cutting promos about Chris Jericho, probably because of the feud. I just like seeing, and we're not seeing Jericho every week on television getting watered down. So when something comes up, when a promo comes up, when his match comes up, it's fewer and farther between, like wrestling used to be, Jeff, when you only had 4 and then 5 when King of the Ring came about pay-per-views. I'm not counting the WCW ones, but even, you know what I mean. And it just feels...
But even then, they had less too, so,
And now you might think, well, you're contradicting yourself if you don't like Brock Lesnar. Well, the thing is, Jericho is just freelancing in different promotions right now, basically, because he's been back on WWE television as well. So, go ahead. And Fozzy.
I just wanted to say that the difference is that Lesnar is doing the same thing he's been doing for 5 years. Why not have Paul Heyman turn on Brock Lesnar and have Lesnar chase after Heyman's new monster, do some kind of different storyline with Lesnar? With Jericho, he's keeping himself relevant and he's doing different things so it stays fresh and interesting. That's why Jericho is working out with what he's doing right now.
And I cared so much about
his whole career.
Yeah. Well, he was. Remember, they changed the casket match at the Greatest Royal Rumble, and I'm sitting there marking out like I'm 12 years old. And then when they changed it back to Rusev, nothing against Rusev, I was just like, I just was like, man, that was real emotion, and that was all because I'm invested into one Chris Jericho, especially that he's later in his career, because it's like, how do these guys extend their career without getting hurt and still delivering top-notch product? He's doing that so far. I give him my first half award for my favorite person in wrestling or moment. Greg, main event time. Go ahead and bring it up, and then you can, pass it on to us since you brought this one up. This is going to be interesting.
Well, since we brought up the first half of the year, I did something I did with Jeff on Coast to Coast. I believe it was last year. For those that remember that show, and do bold predictions for the remainder of 2018. Something that might not happen, but something I guess could possibly happen that might shake the foundation of the professional wrestling world in the remainder of 2018. There's still a lot of time. My dog's excited about it. There's still a lot of time to get it done. I actually want to go last, so I'm going to start with Jeff on this one.
Damn it.
To come up. Sorry, put me
on the spot. That's okay.
I hope we all have something different here. We should.
Well, I have something that I don't think any of the three of you are going to come up with. I hope not, at least. So, Jeff, what do you think is going to be your bold prediction for the remainder of the year?
Brock Lesnar will lose the Universal Championship to somebody besides Roman Reigns.
I like it.
Let's go to Aaron.
Simple as that. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, I will say either Chris Jericho does a match in Impact Wrestling, or we will see CM Punk show up at All In. I think one of those two will be my bold predictions for the remainder of the year. I hope one of those two happens just to make things interesting. WWE-wise, I have no idea. SmackDown goes to 3 hours. I don't know. That won't happen. I don't think that'll happen until they go to Fox, if it does happen. But
I hope it doesn't happen at all. Good Lord.
All right, Virtue, go ahead.
All right. I'll probably be the least right about this, but I just see the fans getting behind this, and this is Roman Reigns winning the Universal title and turning heel, so Seth Rollins can be that chasing babyface while he is borderline white hot. It's just, I mean,
like it.
And again, we talk about this. People, said Roman Reigns should never turn heel. That's some of the critics on Twitter. CM Punk shouldn't come back to All In, and it's like, what are you doing on social media talking about wrestling if you don't want anything cool to happen? That's what us wrestling fans want, right? We want cool stuff to talk about, and now we have platforms like Twitter and Facebook, NoDQ.com. This is the type of stuff. So I'm going to say it's going to happen. Vince McMahon's going to see all of our videos, see me talking about it. Roman's turning heel, not just to turn him heel, to get Rollins up there at Daniel Bryan WrestleMania 30 level.
Beautiful. I love it.
I don't know what else to say.
All right, so last year my prediction was based off of Baron Corbin winning Money in the Bank and becoming WWE champion. I was half right. I made that prediction in January.
Oh, it was so sad. So sad.
And I believe this prediction will be Money in the Bank centric as well. And this is a really bold prediction, so bear with me here. Whichever member of the New Day enters the Money in the Bank, wins it, and becomes the first African-American WWE champion. That's my prediction.
Ooh, nice.
That is my prediction.
And then it's going to be watered down with all three of them being the champion, doing the free roll with the WWE.
You know what? I actually fantasy booked this storyline. So let's say Big E enters the Money in the Bank match and wins. Okay. Somehow or another, Kofi Kingston gets a shot at the title at Survivor Series. He wins. The New Day celebrates. Big E turns on them and cashes in Money in the Bank with Kofi.
Yes. That is brilliant.
It's intriguing. I mean, it's better than Bobby Lashley.
I'd mark out for it. I would.
Here's the problem with Bobby Lashley. It's the way he's booked. Well,
Yeah.
I actually enjoy Lashley, but the storyline that he has been given, like he has to turn chicken shit into chicken salad, essentially.
Yes, good grief.
Charlie Brown.
It's one of those things where it's like you got to deal with the cards you're dealt.
Yeah,
we all play poker at some point. You got to.
That's a horrible hand, man. You got to know when to hold them when to fold them. Grief. I said grief again. New shirt for Jeff Meacham. Good grief.
Jeff is the kind of guy that would fold pocket aces in a poker game. Just saying.
It's because I get scared. I do. It's a true story.
Pre-flop.
I worry. I worry. Yeah.
But the New Day member winning the WWE Championship. That's my bold prediction for the rest of the
Fantastic. Beautiful.
Well, there you have it, everybody. I mean, and again,
that's my favorite.
We're going to see people's ideas in the comments too. So if I see some really cool ones that are different than ours, I'll end up commenting back or going on Twitter. Because that's what it's about, right? What's that?
Get a topic next week. What are your guys' bold predictions for the rest of 2018? Because next week will still be before Money in the Bank, so we'll see what they come up with.
There you go.
But, it's like anybody watching a TV show. All the Walking Dead fans before it got bad, Aaron.
Yeah.
Or what's your other what's that other show that you liked?
Breaking Bad.
Yes.
Breaking Bad never got bad.
But you're always wanting to watch the next show, and in your mind, you're trying to predict what's going to happen. I know when the Dallas show got rebooted, people were talking about that on Twitter and saying, what's going to happen next? And wrestling, that's what fans want. We want to talk about what could happen next. And when you see something you've talked about, it's sometimes when you see something you haven't talked about, as long as it's not Jinder Mahal winning the WWE title, it can be very interesting. And the platforms we have today to discuss wrestling as fans with websites like NoDQ.
Right. And you know what the problem is when I think about it? I think the problem is that a lot of times we come up with better ideas than what they actually do. It's not a situation where we watch it and we're like, holy crap, how come we didn't come up with that? It's like, really? That's the best you guys can come up with? I think if WWE came up with stuff
Exactly.
and we watched and we're like, why didn't I think of that? That is unbelievable. But that almost never happens. It rarely does. The Attitude Era was when I would watch it and I would be blown away by it. I'm like, wow, this is really creative stuff. They're really coming up with some intriguing storylines here and some interesting television shows. And there's no way I could be this creative. But when I watch Raw, I'm like, this is garbage. Jeff?
No DQ has not crashed since I was in Vegas listening to CM Punk cut that promo.
Yeah.
I know what happened that night because Aaron called me going, what the hell's going on up there?
Yeah.
You know,
It would be nice to have something close to
nothing like that. I mean, we had Bryan win the championship. That was an amazing moment, but it flowed naturally. Punk sitting in that Indian style and cutting that promo was like, holy, what just happened?
breaking the fourth wall, but then you
Breaking
have
the fourth
people
wall,
in
baby.
the business that still, and you can't say trying to keep kayfabe anymore because
No.
they show so much stuff on the WWE Network, the Table for Three, the Ride Along, and all of that
Bruce Pritchard
stuff.
show, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so Greg, did you have something else?
Well, I was actually going to say in that same vein, I mean, the difference between the Attitude Era then and the era now is there wasn't any social media, and kayfabe, there was still some semblance of kayfabe back in '99. It wasn't as strong as it was, in the '80s or the early '90s, but it was still kind of there. Right? And now we all know the deal. We all think we know everything. I mean, maybe some of us do, but but a lot of the people on social media complaining. That's why I got the belt, Jeff. A lot of people on social media complaining is, it's like they think they can write better. And I'll tell you from experience, I have booked a wrestling show. I have booked an indie show. It is insanely difficult.
Yeah.
If anybody thinks that they can book a show better, then, go to WWE, like 2K18, the new video game. There's features in there to write your own shows, so you can make your own shows and your own stories. Go do that, or start your own indie promotion. If you think you can do better, then show us, because it's really freaking cool. And that's why I don't crap on the writing as much as a lot of other people, because I've been there and I know how difficult it is.
Yeah, and also keep in mind there's a lot of writers. There's something like 15, 20 writers, and they all have to please Vince McMahon at the end of the day. They really don't have that much creative freedom. They really have to just toe the line and stick with whatever Vince wants. Jeff, what did you want to add?
Well, I was just going to say, it's, I've said for years, if I ever hit a big lotto number, like a really big one, I'm going to start my own independent federation just to have book people I want to book the Young Bucks, book these guys and put them on a big show. Kind of like I had all in my head before the Bucks even thought about it, to be honest with you. I just didn't say anything because I didn't have the money.
STW.
But it'd be cool to see something like that happen all the time.
Yeah, STW.
No, not STW. No, it wasn't that.
Well, great discussion again. Gosh. My goal is to keep the show under an hour today, so just because I got things to do. But another great discussion. I mean, we could talk about wrestling for hours. We could every week. So anybody have any plugs? Yes, you do. Greg, I'll start with you.
Buy the shirts at ProWrestlingTees.com. Search NoDQ, search PA Sensation. Find them all.
NoDQ.com/shirts.
There you go. That works too.
Buy the shirt.
Yes, exactly. Wrestling Trivia Challenge, the finals of the mini tournament to see who's going to lose to me in the finale. That's coming up this week. And
it's not me, I promise.
Yeah, it's not Jeff. Jeff's not in the tournament. He can't.
I retired. I retired.
Exactly. And then next week is the season 4 finale, and hopefully I survive that and continue my long reign.
You will.
And follow me on Twitter at PA Sensation. That's it.
Dun, dun, dun. Jeff Meacham.
All right, see if I can get this without making it blurry here. There you go. Undecided apparel here in Candy Country.
Keep it in the center, Jeff. You had a good moment ago.
You should put it on your Instagram. Take a picture of it.
I will. Actually, there's people right now saying hold it up there the whole time, then they don't have to see your face. Just kidding.
That's right. There you go. I'll leave the pro. You can check them out at 661-310-3700 here at 19347 Soledad Canyon Road. Email them at undecidedprinting@gmail.com. Talk to Jeremy. He's my guy. I talked to TJ also. He's here, and we've been talking to them mostly with the wrestling stuff and the NoDQ shorts. NoDQ.com/Jeff for my Twitter. Same thing on my Instagram is _ Jeff Meacham, but they don't have the link to Instagram because Instagram's not cool enough for NoDQ.com, I guess.
Nope.
Although NoDQ.com has Instagram, NoDQ DOTCOM.
Yeah,
you can check them out there. There you go.
Boston Punk.
I'm done. Boston Punk, baby. A little bit of that guy.
Aaron Riff. Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah, I just wanted to say NoDQ.com/shirts. We have small, medium, large, and giant size. And of course, NoDQ.com for the very latest news and rumors. And that's all I got. Virtue?
All right, you can follow me on Twitter at @NoDQ_Virtue for my hot takes for sports, wrestling, video games. Greg, you're doing video games now on Twitch, right?
I'm going to try to. Actually, Saturday night, since Saturday night's free for me, I might actually get another live stream going, so we'll see how that goes.
So check that out. That's really all I have. Chicago's coming up soon for NXT and Money in the Bank. We'll talk more about that on next week's show. Maybe I'll take my Sami Callihan bat and crack Aaron Rift in the face because he doesn't think Sami Callihan is anybody. But anyway, thanks everybody. For Aaron Rift, for Greg Cherry, for Jeff Meacham, I am Virtue. We're all still friends and in this together. See everybody next time.